You never told me you are this tight, Billionaire said to his virgin wife as he gasps for breath. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit ***, subscribe ***, and turn on the *** notification bell *** so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Imagine being forced into a marriage without love, just for a business arrangement. What if the man you married turns out to be hiding his true identity, and the more you get to know him, the more confused you become? What happens when love and duty collide in the most unexpected way? Let's find out. Emma's fingers trembled slightly as she adjusted the straps of her worn-out purse, walking towards the entrance of the upscale restaurant. The warm glow from the chandeliers flickered on the polished floor, and the hum of conversation filled the air, almost making her feel out of place. The soft clinking of silverware was almost too loud in her ears. She had never been in a place like this before. Her second-hand dress clung uncomfortably, a stark contrast to the high-end suits and gowns she passed on her way to the table. But she had promised Jenny, her best friend, that she would at least try. Just this one date, Jenny had said. It'll be fun. But Emma wasn't sure about that. She wasn't even sure if she belonged here, in this world of polished smiles and expensive tastes. She pulled her shoulders back, took a deep breath, and tried to steady her nerves. Okay, Emma. You can do this, she whispered under her breath. As she scanned the room, her eyes landed on a man sitting alone at the back of the room. His dark hair was neatly styled, his tailored suit sharp, and his attention was on his phone. That's him, she muttered to herself, swallowing her anxiety. She walked over, and with a nervous smile, she cleared her throat. Hi, you must be Kevin, she said, hoping her voice didn't shake as much as her hands did. The man looked up at her, his expression confused. For a moment before he quickly recovered. Hi, Emma, he said, his voice quiet. Emma smiled, thinking he must be shy, just like Jenny had said. She slid into the chair across from him and tried to make herself comfortable. I know this is awkward, she laughed nervously, fidgeting with her napkin. Blind dates are weird, right? Jenny told me you might be a little shy, so don't worry, I can talk enough for both of us. The man, whose name wasn't actually Kevin, stared at her for a moment longer than necessary. She misinterpreted his silence as shyness and decided to fill the gap. Tell me about yourself, she asked, trying to sound casual. What do you do? I work in tech, he replied simply, setting his phone aside. Emma raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Tech? Like coding and stuff. She wasn't great with technology. Something like that, he said, his lips curling into a slight smile. She could feel the awkward tension melting just a little. She wasn't entirely sure why, but there was something about him that made her feel at ease despite the strange circumstances. I'm a waitress, she said, nervously looking down at her glass of water. Not glamorous, but it pays the bills, well, most of them anyway. What do you do in tech? He paused, watching her for a moment before responding. It's hard to explain, he said, his voice soft, almost reluctant. Maybe another time. Emma laughed lightly, not sure if it was nerves or just his quiet demeanor. Yeah, I guess I don't really understand much about it anyway. She glanced up at him again. His serious expression made her think he was lost in thought, yet he was also strangely calming. As they spoke, she realized that the conversation flowed more easily than she'd expected. She shared some funny stories from her shifts at the diner, how she struggled to pay rent, and her dream of one day opening her own art studio. You're not what I expected, she said suddenly, her voice lowering slightly. I mean, Jenny said you were reserved, but you're actually really easy to talk to. He chuckled softly, his smile becoming more genuine. You're easy to talk to too, he said, his voice warm. Emma beamed at the compliment. I guess we both expected more awkwardness, "Hey," she replied, feeling her nerves ease. She was about to ask him more about his work when her phone buzzed in her pocket. She glanced down at the screen. "Hey Emma, where are you?" "I'm at table 7, looking forward to meeting you." "Kevin." Her heart sank. Her cheeks burned red with embarrassment. She looked up at the man sitting across from her, her voice barely a whisper. "You're not Kevin, are you?" The man's smile faltered for a brief moment, and guilt flashed across his face. "No," he said quietly, standing up. "I'm sorry. I should have corrected you sooner." But Emma was already grabbing her coat, her face flushed with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry," she muttered, shaking her head as she hurried toward the door. "This is so embarrassing." The man, Liam, as she would later know him, watched her go, a strange mix of regret and curiosity swirling in his chest. He had planned to tell her the moment she sat down that she had the wrong table, but there was something about her sincerity, her warmth, that made him hesitate. And now, as he watched her rush out of the restaurant, he realized that he didn't want to let her go. "I think I want to see her again," Liam thought to himself, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips despite the situation. As Emma left the restaurant, her thoughts were a jumbled mess of confusion and frustration. She couldn't believe she'd messed up the date like that, but there was something about Liam, no, Kevin, that had made her feel strangely comfortable. She shook her head as she walked out into the night. I'll never see him again, she thought, but deep down, a part of her wasn't so sure. Would she? The next morning, Emma was sitting at her small kitchen table, the dim light from the overhead bulb casting soft shadows over the worn-out surfaces. She stared at her phone, still feeling embarrassed from last night's blind date disaster. The message from Jenny blinked at her, "Hope you're okay, girl." Was Kevin nice? Emma sighed, shaking her head as she typed a quick response. I sat at the wrong table. That was so embarrassing. It's not even funny. She hit send and put the phone down, running her fingers over the edge of her chipped coffee mug. The sounds of the city outside her small apartment seemed muffled, as if everything was just too far away. Emma had been in New York for over a year now, but the city still felt like a place where she didn't quite fit in. The excitement of being here had faded, replaced by the daily grind of working double shifts, scraping by, and dreaming of something more. A small part of her wondered if she would ever get to that something more. She had always loved art, but life had a way of keeping those dreams just out of reach. She was so caught up in her thoughts that she almost didn't notice the ping of a new message. She picked up her phone again, seeing a text from an unknown number. "Hi, Emma. It's Liam. We met last night. I know it was a mix-up, but I was wondering if you'd like to grab coffee sometime." Emma stared at the message for a long time, her heart skipping a beat. Was he serious? She almost didn't believe it. She had left the restaurant in such a rush, feeling completely mortified, and now, here he was, reaching out again. Was this some kind of joke? The more she thought about it, the more her curiosity grew. Was he really interested in seeing her again? She hesitated for a few seconds, then typed a quick reply. I'm not sure this is a good idea. It was all a mistake. She stared at the screen for a moment longer, then added, but coffee sounds fine. Maybe I owe you an apology for running out like that. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. A few seconds later, Liam's reply came in, I promise, no need to apologize. I thought you were fun to talk to. Plus, I have a lot to make up for. Emma smiled at the message, a little surprised by how genuine he seemed. She didn't know what it was about him, but something felt different. She was used to men who were only interested in her looks or her job, but Liam had shown her something else, even if they hadn't exactly started off on the right foot. A short time later, she found herself walking into a cozy little coffee shop near her apartment, a place she had passed by many times but had never actually stepped inside. It had a warm, inviting atmosphere, with soft jazz music playing in the background. And the smell of freshly ground coffee beans filling the air. She spotted Liam right away. He was sitting at a small table in the corner, looking more casual than he had the night before, wearing jeans and a simple sweater. He looked up when she walked in, offering a small, friendly smile. "Hi, Emma," he greeted her, standing up as she approached. "I'm glad you came." "Hi," Emma replied, feeling a little out of place. "Sorry again about last night." "No need to apologize," Liam said, motioning for her to sit. "I'm just glad we're meeting again." Emma sat down, feeling the nerves begin to settle as they started talking. The conversation was much easier this time. They both seemed to relax into it, the awkwardness from the night before melting away. Liam was funny, down-to-earth, and surprisingly easy to talk to. Emma found herself laughing at his stories, a side of her she hadn't shown in a long time. She realized, as they chatted, that she was actually enjoying herself. They talked about everything, their jobs, their hobbies, and their favorite things to do in the city. Liam mentioned he had recently started working on a new project, but he didn't go into too many details. Emma didn't push. She found herself more interested in the way he spoke about his life, about how he was still figuring things out, even though he had achieved so much at such a young age. There was something humble about him, despite his wealth. As the conversation continued, Emma began to feel like she was seeing Liam in a new light. He wasn't just a businessman or a tech guy, he was someone who seemed to genuinely care. And that made her feel, for the first time in a while, like maybe there was something more to life than just surviving. By the time they finished their coffee, Emma felt a strange sense of hope that she hadn't felt in months. It was too soon to say where this would go, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe things could change. Maybe this mix-up, this awkward, embarrassing start, could lead to something good. Liam walked her to the door, and as they stood on the sidewalk, he hesitated for a moment. "I know this might sound crazy," he said, his voice soft, "but I'd really like to see you again. No pressure, of course. I just think we could have a lot of fun getting to know each other." Emma's heart fluttered. She wasn't sure what to say, but she felt the words coming out of her mouth before she could stop them. "I'd like that," she said with a smile. Liam grinned, a genuine, bright smile that made her stomach flip. "Great," he said. "I'll call you." As he walked away, Emma watched him go, her mind racing. Was this really happening? Was it possible that she had just met someone who might change everything? The next few days felt like a whirlwind for Emma. After her coffee with Liam, she couldn't stop thinking about their conversation. She kept replaying it in her mind over and over again, wondering what it all meant. Was she reading too much into it? Was it possible that someone like him, a man with so much to offer, would really want to get to know someone like her? She spent her days at the diner, serving food and trying to push the thoughts of Liam out of her head, but it was harder than she expected. He had made her feel something she hadn't felt in a long time, something that made her believe, even if just for a moment, that maybe she could have more than what she had now. It was ridiculous, really. She was just a waitress, scraping by, while he was a successful entrepreneur. They lived in completely different worlds. She wasn't sure if she could ever belong in his. That evening, as she was finishing up her shift at the diner, her phone buzzed. She pulled it out of her pocket, surprised to see a message from Liam. "Hey, Emma. I hope your day went well. I know we talked about doing something next weekend. Would you be up for dinner on Friday?" Emma stared at the screen for a moment, her heart beating a little faster. She hadn't expected him to message her again so soon. It was like a dream she didn't want to wake up from. She typed out a reply, her fingers slightly trembling as she did. "That sounds nice. I'd love to." She hit send before she could talk herself out of it. A few moments later, his reply came through, "Great. I'll make a reservation at a nice restaurant. Can't wait to see you again." She smiled as she read the message, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She wasn't sure what was happening, but she knew one thing for sure: Liam was making her feel something real. The next few days passed in a blur as Emma tried to prepare herself for the dinner date. She spent her free time at a local thrift store, looking for something nice to wear. She wasn't used to dressing up, but she wanted to look good for Liam. She found a simple black dress that fit her perfectly and made her feel a little more confident. On Friday evening, Emma stood in front of her mirror, running her fingers through her hair as she tried to calm her nerves. She had spent so much time worrying about what to wear, how to look, and whether or not she was doing the right thing, but now, standing in front of the mirror, she felt ready. This was it. She was going to see Liam again, and this time, she wasn't going to let her insecurities hold her back. She grabbed her purse and walked out of the apartment, taking a deep breath as she stepped into the cool evening air. She made her way to the restaurant, a small but elegant spot downtown that Liam had picked out. The moment she arrived, she saw him waiting outside, his dark suit looking sharp against the soft glow of the streetlights. He smiled when he saw her and immediately walked over to greet her. "Wow, you look amazing," Liam said, his voice warm and sincere. Emma's heart fluttered. "Thank you. You look great too." She couldn't help but notice how easy it was to talk to him now, how natural the conversation felt. As they walked into the restaurant together, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was different this time. There was a certain ease between them now, a comfort that hadn't been there the first time they met. It felt like they were finally getting past the awkwardness and starting to really connect. As the night went on, they talked about everything: life, work, their dreams. Liam shared more about his company, about the challenges he faced running such a large business, and about his passion for innovation. Emma told him about her aspirations to one day open her own art studio, something she had always dreamed of but never thought would be possible. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and before they knew it, the evening had flown by. As they finished dessert, Liam leaned back in his chair and looked at her with a soft smile. "I'm really glad we're doing this," he said, his voice low. "I wasn't sure what to expect, but I'm really enjoying our time together." Emma's heart skipped a beat. "Me too," she said, her voice quieter than usual. She looked down at her hands, suddenly feeling a little shy. She hadn't expected this connection, hadn't expected to feel so comfortable with someone she barely knew. It was more than just the attraction she felt for him, it was something deeper, something that made her feel seen, heard, and understood. "I never thought I'd be here," she said softly, looking up at him. "I mean, I've always dreamed of something more, but I never thought it was possible. And now I'm here, with you, and it feels like maybe it is possible." Liam reached across the table and gently took her hand in his. "Emma, I don't know where this is going yet, but I'm willing to find out. I want to see where this could go." Her breath caught in her throat, and for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, something real was starting to take shape between them. As they left the restaurant and walked down the street together, the city lights twinkling around them, Emma couldn't help but smile. She wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful. She felt like this was the beginning of something new. Something real. The following week, Emma couldn't stop thinking about Liam. Their dinner had been a turning point for her, one she hadn't anticipated. She found herself waking up every morning with a little more hope, a little more belief in the possibility of something beyond the life she'd been living. As she walked into the diner for another shift, the usual routine felt different. The clattering of plates and the constant hum of conversation around her didn't seem as overwhelming anymore. She caught herself smiling more often, even when things got hectic. Her mind would wander to Liam and the evening. They shared how easy it had been to talk to him, how he made her feel like she mattered. She hadn't expected to find someone like him, someone who saw her for who she was, not just the job she did or her circumstances. That evening, as she finished cleaning a table, her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. She pulled it out, hoping it was a message from Liam, and sure enough, it was. "Hey, Emma. I was thinking of you today. I'd love to see you again soon. Would you like to join me for a walk in the park this weekend?" Emma felt a rush of excitement and warmth spread through her. It had only been a few days since their last meeting, but already she was looking forward to seeing him again. She quickly typed her reply, "I'd love to." Saturday afternoon. His message came through almost instantly, "Perfect. I'll pick you up at 2. I can't wait. The anticipation built in Emma's chest as the days went by. She spent the rest of the week juggling work, but all she could think about was their upcoming date. Saturday afternoon arrived, and she found herself standing in front of her apartment mirror, adjusting the collar of her jacket. It wasn't much, but she had chosen something simple, casual yet put together. She didn't want to look too fancy, but she also wanted to look her best for him. When the knock on her door came, her heart skipped a beat. She opened the door to find Liam standing there, looking effortlessly handsome in a casual sweater and jeans. "Hi," he said with a warm smile. "You look great." "Thank you," Emma said, her voice a little breathless. She stepped out of the apartment, locking the door behind her, and they walked together to Liam's car. The park was just a short drive away, and once they arrived, the autumn leaves were still hanging on to the trees, painting the path in golden hues. It was quiet, peaceful. Just what Emma needed. As they strolled through the park, they talked about everything: work, their dreams, their childhoods. Emma found herself laughing easily, feeling more relaxed with each passing moment. The tension she had felt on their first date was gone now, replaced by a sense of familiarity that surprised her. Liam seemed to share more about his life, about his struggles running a business, the pressure he felt from the people around him. It was refreshing to hear him talk so openly. "I know people probably think I have everything figured out," he said as they walked along a small bridge overlooking a pond, "but the truth is, I'm still figuring a lot of it out. Sometimes I feel like I'm living up to everyone else's expectations instead of my own." Emma nodded, understanding more than she let on. "I get that," she said softly. "Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in this never-ending loop, just getting by. You know, working a job I don't love just to pay the bills. But I'm still holding on to the idea that maybe one day I'll find something more." Liam looked over at her, his expression thoughtful. "I think you will. You're doing something that matters, even if it doesn't always feel like it." Emma felt a warmth spread through her at his words. He was right. She had always dreamed of owning her own art studio, but life had a way of getting in the way of those dreams. Still, she had never completely let go of the hope that it might one day happen. The walk continued, and they eventually found a bench near a small fountain, where they sat and talked in comfortable silence. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was exactly where she needed to be. Liam had a way of making her feel seen, understood. He wasn't just another person who was interested in her because of her looks or her job. He was genuinely interested in who she was as a person, and that meant more to her than she had ever expected. As the afternoon wore on, the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over everything. They stood up to leave, and Liam turned to her with a soft smile. "I'm really glad we did this," he said. "I'm glad you came." "Me too," Emma replied, her voice quiet but sincere. They walked back to the car, and as Liam opened the door for her, Emma realized that she hadn't felt this kind of connection in a long time. There was something about him that made her feel like anything was possible. As they drove back to her apartment, the conversation turned lighter, more playful, and when they reached her building, Liam stopped the car. "I'm really looking forward to seeing you again," he said, his voice sincere. "How about dinner next week?" Emma smiled, her heart fluttering. "I'd love that." She stepped out of the car, and as she turned to walk inside, she couldn't help but feel that this was only the beginning of something special. Something real. The following week, Emma felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. After their walk in the park, things between her and Liam seemed to be progressing. Every time they talked or met, it felt like they were becoming more connected, more in tune with each other. Yet, despite the warmth that had grown between them, a small voice in the back of Emma's mind kept whispering doubts. Was this real? Or was it just another fleeting moment, like so many others she had experienced in her life? She pushed those thoughts aside as she prepared for their dinner date. It was Friday evening, and she stood in front of her mirror, smoothing the fabric of her dress. It was simple, elegant, and made her feel good about herself, though she couldn't shake the nervous energy buzzing in her chest. She had been looking forward to this all week, but now, she wasn't sure what to expect. When Liam had texted her earlier, asking if she wanted to meet for dinner, her heart had skipped a beat. She didn't want to overthink it, but it felt different this time. This wasn't just a casual date. She was starting to care about him, and she wasn't sure where that would lead. The doorbell rang, snapping her out of her thoughts. She took a deep breath and opened the door to find Liam standing there, dressed in a crisp black jacket and dark jeans, a casual yet sharp look that made her heart flutter. "Hey, you look stunning," Liam said, his voice full of warmth and admiration. Emma smiled, trying to hide the butterflies in her stomach. "Thanks, you look great too." She stepped outside and closed the door behind her as they walked to his car. The drive to the restaurant was comfortable, the city lights passing by in a blur. As they entered the restaurant, Liam took her hand gently, leading her to their table. The ambience was perfect, dimly lit with soft music in the background, and the air was filled with the aroma of fresh ingredients being prepared. They sat down, and Emma couldn't help but notice how easy it felt to be around him. The conversation flowed naturally, just like it always did, but there was a deeper connection now. Liam seemed to be more open with her, sharing stories about his childhood, his struggles with his company, and the pressure that came with his success. It was refreshing to hear him speak so honestly. "I didn't always know I wanted to be in tech," he said, taking a sip of his wine. "It just kind of happened. You know, like you find yourself in a position and you just keep moving forward, thinking that's what you're supposed to do. But, sometimes, I wonder if I'm missing out on something else, something simpler." Emma leaned forward, her curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" "I don't know," Liam sighed. "I think about the things I used to love, like painting, or just spending time with friends without having to worry about business deals and meetings. I think somewhere along the way, I forgot what it felt like to just enjoy the moment." Emma smiled, understanding exactly what he meant. She, too, had felt the weight of her responsibilities holding her back from pursuing her own dreams. "I get that," she said. "I've always wanted to open an art studio, but sometimes it feels impossible. Life just gets in the way, you know." Liam's eyes softened as he looked at her. "I think you'll get there. You have that fire in you." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. It wasn't often that someone saw her the way Liam did, someone who believed in her, who didn't see her as just a waitress or a woman struggling to make ends meet, but someone with real potential. The evening passed in a comfortable silence between them, with occasional bursts of laughter and quiet moments where they both just took in each other's company. After dessert, as they walked out of the restaurant, Liam stopped her by the door. He looked at her, his expression more serious now. "Emma," he said softly. "I know this might sound crazy, but I've really enjoyed getting to know you. More than I expected, actually." Emma's heart skipped a beat as she looked up at him, her mind racing. "I've enjoyed getting to know you too," she replied, her voice quieter than usual. There was something in the air now, something unspoken but heavy. She could feel it, like a shift in the universe, a sense that something important was about to happen. "I know this is soon," Liam continued, his voice a little more uncertain, "but I'd like to see where this could go. I don't want to rush anything, but I think we could really build something here, something real." Emma's breath caught in her throat. For a moment, she was speechless, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. It wasn't that she didn't want the same thing, it was just that the thought of opening her heart to someone, especially someone like Liam, was both exciting and terrifying at the same time. "I don't know what this is yet," Emma said, her voice shaking slightly, "but I want to find out too." Liam smiled, a genuine, soft smile that made Emma's heart flutter. "Good," he said, taking her hand in his. "I'm really glad." As they stood there, hand in hand, the world around them seemed to slow down, as if everything had fallen into place. Emma couldn't help but feel like this was the beginning of something new, something worth fighting for. And maybe, just maybe, this was the moment her dreams of a different life were starting to take shape. As they walked back to the car, Liam glanced at her with a teasing smile. "You know," he said, "this is just the beginning, right?" Emma smiled back, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. "I know," she said, squeezing his hand gently. "And I'm excited to see where it leads." The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of new experiences for Emma. Her relationship with Liam was blossoming in ways she hadn't expected, and with each passing day, she felt herself becoming more and more invested in him. They continued to see each other regularly, sharing dinners, walks in the park, and late-night conversations that stretched into the early hours of the morning. Liam's ease around her made her feel like she could be herself without any judgment, a rarity in her life. She had spent so much time trying to hide her vulnerabilities, but with him, it was different. He listened, he cared, and for the first time, she felt like someone truly saw her. Yet, as their connection deepened, so did the weight of the reality that she was still struggling. She had her dreams, but they felt distant, clouded by the financial burden she carried. Being with Liam, someone so successful, made her feel both proud of how far she had come and ashamed of how far she still had to go. She tried to push these thoughts aside, telling herself to enjoy the moment. One afternoon, Liam invited her to one of his business events. He had told her it was a charity gala, a chance for him to give back and connect with like-minded individuals. Emma hesitated at first. She wasn't used to these kinds of events. The idea of stepping into a room full of strangers, dressed to the nines, made her stomach turn. She felt out of place in her own life sometimes, and this was a world that felt even farther from her reach. But Liam insisted. "You'll fit right in," he told her, his voice full of confidence. "You're more than capable of handling this. And I want you to be there with me." His encouragement was enough to make her agree. She spent the next few days preparing for the evening, choosing a dress that felt both elegant and comfortable. She wanted to look her best, but she also wanted to stay true to herself. The night of the gala, Liam picked her up, looking sharp in a tailored tuxedo that made him look every bit the part of the successful billionaire he was. Emma's heart raced as they drove to the event. When they arrived, she was taken aback by the opulence of the venue. The grand chandelier above them sparkled in the dim light, and the floor was covered in polished marble that reflected the soft glow of the candles. The guests were all dressed impeccably, their laughter and chatter filling the air. She immediately felt like she didn't belong. But then, Liam took her hand, and the warmth of his touch grounded her. "You look amazing," he whispered, his eyes sparkling with admiration. She smiled, feeling her nerves ease. The night went on, and Emma found herself enjoying the evening more than she thought she would. As Liam introduced her to various people, she found herself having genuine conversations. Everyone was kind, and no one made her feel out of place. Liam kept a steady hand on her back, offering gentle words of reassurance whenever she seemed unsure. But as the night wore on, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that she was the odd one out. She watched as the people around her conversed about business deals, luxury vacations, and high-profile events. She realized just how different her life was from theirs. She excused herself from the group and stepped outside to get some fresh air. The night was cool, and the stars above twinkled like diamonds in the sky. Emma leaned against the railing, trying to calm her racing thoughts. She had worked so hard to get to where she was, but it still felt like she was on the outside looking in. "Is everything okay?" Liam's voice broke through her thoughts, and she turned to see him standing behind her, concern written on his face. "Yeah," Emma replied, forcing a smile. "Just needed a moment. I'm not really used to this kind of world, you know." Liam stepped closer, placing his hand on the railing next to hers. "I get it," he said softly. "But you don't need to feel like an outsider. You belong here just as much as anyone else." She met his gaze, feeling the sincerity in his words. "Thank you," she said quietly. "It just feels overwhelming sometimes." Liam reached out, gently taking her hand in his. "I know this is all new for you, but you're not alone in it. I'm here. And I want to share this with you, all of it." His words, full of kindness and understanding, made Emma feel seen in a way that few people ever had. She realized then that it wasn't about the wealth, the fancy parties, or the status, it was about the connection they shared. Liam didn't care about how much money she made or what she did for a living. He cared about who she was as a person. And that realization made her heart swell with emotion. As they walked back inside together, Emma felt a renewed sense of confidence. She wasn't defined by her circumstances, and neither was Liam. They were two people who had come together in an unexpected way, and that was enough. The night continued, and Emma found herself laughing and enjoying the company of those around her. The once intimidating world of business elites had faded into the background. By the end of the evening, as they made their way back to the car, Liam turned to her with a smile. "How was it?" he asked, his eyes full of warmth. Emma smiled back, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. "It was great," she said, her voice steady. "Thank you for showing me this world. But more importantly, thank you for showing me that I belong here with you." Liam's smile widened, and he pulled her into a gentle hug. "You do," he whispered, his voice full of promise. "You belong here with me, Emma. Always." As the weeks passed, Emma's relationship with Liam grew stronger, but so did the complications. Despite the warmth and comfort she found in his presence, a part of her still struggled with her own insecurities. She wasn't sure where this was headed, and the idea of being in a world so far removed from her own made her uneasy. She had always dreamed of a different life, one where she could pursue her passion for art and live without constantly worrying about money, but now that she was in this relationship with Liam, those dreams seemed even more out of reach. She found herself caught between two worlds, one where she was a waitress trying to make ends meet, and the other where Liam, a successful entrepreneur, lived in a world of luxury and endless opportunities. It wasn't just the material difference that bothered her, it was the fear of not being enough, of not belonging in his world. She tried to push those thoughts aside whenever she was with him, but they crept up on her at night, when she was alone with her thoughts. One afternoon, as she sat at her apartment, working on a new sketch, she received a text from Liam. "Hey, I was thinking about you today. Would you like to have dinner with me tonight?" It was a simple message, but it made Emma's heart race. It had been a few days since they had last seen each other, and she missed him more than she cared to admit. She quickly replied, "I'd love that." Liam's response came in just a few minutes later, "Great. I'll pick you up at 7. As the time for their dinner date approached, Emma couldn't shake the nervous energy that had started to build in her chest. She had chosen a simple outfit, nothing too fancy, but something that made her feel comfortable and confident. She wanted to look good for him, but she also didn't want to overthink it. Liam arrived on time, looking as handsome as ever in a casual button-up shirt and jeans. There was something about him that made her feel safe and yet completely on edge at the same time. He gave her a warm smile as she opened the door. "Hey, beautiful," he said, his voice soft. "You look amazing." Emma smiled, feeling a blush creep up on her cheeks. "Thanks," she replied. "You look pretty good yourself." As they drove to the restaurant, Emma couldn't help but notice how easy it was to be around him. The nervousness she had felt earlier seemed to fade away with each passing minute. When they arrived at the restaurant, it was a cozy little Italian place with dim lighting and soft music playing in the background. The atmosphere felt intimate, and Emma immediately felt at ease. They sat down at their table, and Liam smiled at her as he picked up the menu. "I'm glad we're doing this," he said, his eyes warm. "I've been looking forward to spending time with you." Emma's heart fluttered at his words. "Me too," she replied softly. The evening went by smoothly, filled with laughter and meaningful conversation. They talked about their lives, their dreams, and the things they wanted to accomplish. Liam shared more about his business, his passion for technology, and the challenges that came with running a successful company. Emma, in turn, opened up more about her own struggles and aspirations. She told him about her desire to one day open her own art studio, about the difficulties she had faced growing up, and about the dreams that had always seemed just out of reach. Liam listened intently, offering words of encouragement and understanding. "You know, I believe in you," he said, his voice steady. "You have the potential to make your dreams a reality. You just have to believe in yourself, too." Emma's chest tightened at his words. She had always been her own biggest critic, and hearing him say that meant more to her than she could express. It was as if, for the first time, someone truly believed in her. The evening ended with a walk along the city streets, hand in hand. As they strolled, the cool night air wrapped around them, and Emma couldn't help but feel like everything was falling into place. Liam was everything she had ever wanted in a partner, kind, supportive, and genuine. But the nagging doubt still lingered. Was she really enough for him? As they reached her apartment building, Liam stopped and turned to face her. "I had a great time tonight," he said, his eyes full of sincerity. "I really like being with you, Emma." Emma smiled, her heart full. "I had a great time too." They stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. The moment felt suspended in time, and Emma realized how much she had come to care for him. But as she looked at him, the familiar doubt crept in. Was this just a fantasy, or was it real? "I want to be with you, Emma," Liam said, breaking the silence. "I don't know where this is going, but I want to see where it leads. I think we could have something amazing." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to say something, but the words felt stuck. Instead, she simply nodded. "Me too," she said, her voice soft. Liam leaned in, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face before kissing her on the cheek. "Good night, Emma. I'll see you soon." As he turned to leave, Emma stood there for a moment, her heart racing. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe she didn't need to know. Maybe it was enough just to enjoy the present, to see where this journey with Liam would take her. The following days felt like a blur for Emma, as the moments she shared with Liam seemed to fill up every waking hour. Each day, the connection between them deepened, and she found herself constantly replaying their conversations, their laughter, and the gentle way he had kissed her cheek the night of their dinner. But despite the growing intimacy, Emma still couldn't shake the lingering doubts that clouded her mind. She had always kept her guard up, especially when it came to relationships, and now, with Liam, she felt herself teetering between vulnerability and fear. Was it really possible to have this kind of connection, or was it just a fleeting fantasy? Her heart was torn between the joy she felt with him and the fear that she wasn't enough to truly belong in his world. Liam, on the other hand, seemed to be more certain. He made her feel special, valued, and respected, things she hadn't experienced in a long time. He was consistent, always there where he said he would be, offering encouragement and gentle support when she needed it most. But as much as Emma wanted to believe in their future, she couldn't ignore the growing distance she felt between her own world and his. His life was so different from hers, filled with luxury, success, and the kind of opportunities that felt like they were a lifetime away from her reach. One evening, as they sat on the couch in her apartment, Liam looked at her with a thoughtful expression. "You've been quiet lately," he said, his voice soft but concerned. "Is everything okay?" Emma took a deep breath, feeling the familiar weight of uncertainty settle in her chest. She had always been the one to keep her emotions in check, but something about Liam's gentle presence made her feel like she could open up. "I don't know, Liam," she said, her voice tinged with hesitation. I feel like I'm living in two different worlds. Your world is so different from mine, and sometimes I wonder if I even belong here." She looked down, unable to meet his gaze. The fear of being judged, of being seen as out of place, gnawed at her. Liam reached out and gently lifted her chin, his touch warm and reassuring. "Emma, you belong here with me," he said, his voice steady. "I'm not asking you to change who you are. I just want you to be with me, to enjoy the time we have together. Don't let the differences between us make you feel like you don't fit." Emma looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity in his expression. She felt a mixture of relief and fear. She wanted to believe him, but the fear of not being enough still lingered. "But what if I'm not enough for you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Liam's eyes softened, and he pulled her closer, wrapping his arms around her. "You are more than enough, Emma," he said gently. "You're everything I've been looking for, and more. Don't ever doubt that." Emma's heart fluttered at his words. She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that this wasn't just another dream she'd wake up from, but the fear of her own insecurities was hard to shake. I don't know how to fit into your world, she said, her voice trembling slightly. Liam cupped her face in his hands, looking at her with such intensity that it took her breath away. You don't need to fit into my world, Emma, he said softly. You just need to be you. And that's more than enough for me. The words hung in the air between them, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt a sense of peace settle in her chest. Liam wasn't asking her to change, to become someone she wasn't. He was asking her to simply be herself, to trust in what they had. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Over the next few weeks, Emma allowed herself to embrace the relationship fully. She began to let go of her fears, to let herself believe in the love that was growing between her and Liam. They spent more time together, laughing, talking, and sharing their hopes and dreams. She started to realize that it wasn't about fitting into his world or living up to some expectation, it was about the connection they shared. As time went on, Emma started to feel more at home with Liam, more comfortable in her own skin. She realized that the love and support he offered didn't depend on her success or her circumstances, it was rooted in something deeper, something that had nothing to do with the material world around them. One evening, as they sat in her apartment, Liam turned to her with a serious expression. Emma, he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion, I've been thinking a lot about us lately. About how we've grown together, how much you mean to me. Emma's heart raced as she looked at him, wondering where this conversation was going. What are you saying? She asked, her voice soft. Liam took her hand in his gaze never leaving hers. I'm saying that I want to be with you, Emma. I want to see where this goes. I want to be there for you, through everything. The words hung in the air, and for a moment, Emma was speechless. She had never imagined that. She would find someone who cared for her so deeply, who wanted to build something real, something lasting. I feel the same way, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. I want this too. I want us to see where this leads. Liam smiled, a genuine, warm smile that made Emma's heart swell. He pulled her into a gentle hug, holding her close. I'm glad, he said softly. Because I'm not letting go of you, Emma. Not now, not ever. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, Emma realized that the doubts, the fears, the insecurities, they no longer mattered. She didn't need to fit into his world. All she needed was to believe in what they had. And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she had found a place where she truly belonged. As the months passed, Emma began to feel like a different person. The doubts and insecurities that once clouded her mind seemed to fade, replaced by a sense of peace and confidence she hadn't known in years. Liam had become her rock, her constant, and the love they shared grew deeper with each passing day. They spent weekends exploring new places, visiting art galleries, and enjoying quiet moments together. Liam, despite his success, never made Emma feel less than. He was always present, always patient, always encouraging her to pursue her dreams. He'd even surprised her one evening with a visit to a small art studio, where he had arranged for a private tour. I thought you might like this, he said, his eyes warm as he watched her take in the vibrant paintings and sculptures around them. Emma had been speechless, overwhelmed by the thoughtfulness of the gesture. It was moments like these that made her realize just how much Liam cared, not just for her but for the things that made her happy. And it wasn't just the big moments. It was the little things, holding her hand while they watched the sunset, waking up to find a cup of coffee already waiting for her, or the way he always listened when she talked about her dreams of opening her own art studio. Slowly but surely, Emma began to believe that those dreams were within reach. She had never felt more supported or more capable. One evening, as they sat together on her couch, Liam turned to her with a serious look in his eyes. Emma, he began, his voice soft but filled with emotion, I know we've been through a lot together, and I want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. I want to build a future with you. Emma's heart skipped a beat as she looked at him, her breath catching in her chest. She had known for a while now that this was where things were headed, but hearing Liam say it aloud made her heart swell with happiness. "I want that too," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "More than anything." Liam smiled, his eyes bright with affection, and took her hand in his. "Then let's do it. Let's build that future together." The words felt like a promise, a commitment to the life they were beginning to create. Emma had never been more certain of anything. The fear that had once held her back, the fear of not being enough, of not fitting in, seemed so far away now. She had found a partner in Liam, someone who loved her for who she was, not for what she did or what she didn't have. And she realized, in that moment, that she had found her place in the world, not just with him, but within herself. The next few weeks were filled with excitement as they made plans for the future. Emma started looking for spaces to rent for her art studio, and Liam, ever supportive, offered to help in any way he could. It wasn't about money, it was about believing in each other and working together toward their shared dreams. They worked late into the night, sketching out ideas for the studio, discussing the logistics, and talking about the kind of community they wanted to create. It was a dream coming to life, one they were building together. One night, as they sat in her living room surrounded by art supplies and plans, Liam took Emma's hand and looked at her with such tenderness that she felt a warmth spread through her chest. "I've never been this happy, Emma," he said, his voice full of sincerity. "I never knew that life could be this good, but with you, it is." Emma smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. "I feel the same way," she said softly. "I never thought I'd find someone who made me feel so complete. Thank you for believing in me." Liam leaned forward and kissed her gently on the forehead, his love for her clear in his touch. "You don't need to thank me, Emma. You've always had everything you need inside you. I'm just lucky to be here with you." And in that moment, Emma realized how far she had come. From the uncertain, unsure woman who had walked into Liam's life months ago, to the confident woman sitting here now, planning a future with the man she loved. The road ahead wasn't without its challenges, life never was, but Emma knew one thing for sure: she wasn't alone anymore. She had found her place, her love, and her future. And she was ready to take it all on, with Liam by her side. Together, they would build the life they had always dreamed of, and it would be even better than either of them had imagined. Emma smiled as she looked at Liam, feeling the warmth of his hand in hers, knowing that this was only the beginning. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, and that was all that mattered. Millionaire stories often capture the hearts of many, blending dreams with reality, and this one is no exception. Follow the journey of Emma, a humble waitress with big dreams, and Liam, a successful millionaire entrepreneur, as they navigate the complexities of their unexpected connection. In this touching tale of love, self-discovery, and overcoming doubts, Emma's world is turned upside down when she meets Liam under unexpected circumstances. As the story unfolds, Emma is pulled between her insecurities and her growing feelings for Liam, leading to moments of emotional breakthroughs and challenges. Millionaire stories like this highlight the beauty of finding love and support in unexpected places, proving that it's not wealth that defines worth, but love and understanding. As Emma and Liam's bond deepens, they each face their own internal struggles, yet find comfort in their connection. From romantic dinners to moments of vulnerability, this millionaire story explores the transformative power of love, trust, and belief in one another. Through their ups and downs, Emma learns that true love isn't defined by money or status, but by the connection two people share. As they continue to grow together, Emma's journey becomes a testament to the fact that sometimes, even in millionaire stories, it's the heart that truly matters. Discover how Emma and Liam's relationship evolves into something beautiful as they learn to navigate the complexities of their different worlds, finding love and a shared future together. These millionaire stories remind us that love can be the greatest wealth, transcending all barriers and differences. 1. The first scene captures a quiet moment in an upscale restaurant where Emma and Liam are seated across from each other. The ambience is sophisticated, with soft lighting and elegant decor, but Emma, dressed in a simple yet beautiful dress, looks slightly out of place. Her face shows a mixture of nervousness and curiosity as she glances at Liam, who exudes confidence in a sharp suit. Their eyes meet for the first time, and there's an undeniable tension in the air. Emma's posture is stiff, her hands fidgeting slightly with her napkin, while Liam maintains a calm, almost amused expression. The camera angle captures them in a close-up, focusing on their contrasting expressions, Emma's vulnerability and Liam's ease, creating an emotional connection between the two. 1, 2, 2. In the second scene, Emma is seen working at a bustling diner. She moves quickly between tables, delivering orders with a forced smile. The camera focuses on her tired expression as she walks through the crowded restaurant, balancing multiple tasks. Her uniform is simple, and she stands out as she works hard, but there's a visible exhaustion in her eyes. She passes by a window, looking outside for a brief moment of escape. The camera captures a close-up of her face, showing the internal struggle as she contemplates her dreams. Her posture is slightly hunched, embodying the weight of her responsibilities, yet there's a flicker of hope in her eyes as she looks at the distant skyline. 2-3. In the third scene, Liam is working in his modern office. The camera captures him sitting behind a sleek desk, surrounded by large monitors displaying business data. His sharp jawline and strong, masculine features are highlighted as he looks intently at the screen, exuding the confidence of a successful entrepreneur. The camera zooms in on his focused expression, capturing the intensity of his work. Despite the luxurious surroundings, there's a quiet solitude to him as he types away, absorbed in the task at hand. He's dressed in a tailored suit, his presence commanding and professional, but his eyes show hints of tiredness beneath the surface. 1-4. In the fourth scene, Emma and Liam are walking together in a park. The setting is calm, with golden autumn leaves falling around them. Emma is dressed casually, her hair gently blowing in the wind, and she glances at Liam, who walks beside her, wearing a more relaxed outfit. The camera captures a side view of them, their body language open, showing a growing connection between the two. Liam listens intently as Emma speaks, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the afternoon sun. The natural setting contrasts with their previously contrasting worlds, signifying the emotional bridge they are beginning to build. 1-2-5. In the fifth scene, Emma is alone in a dimly lit cafe, deep in thought. The camera focuses on her face as she looks out the window, her expression contemplative and a little sad. She's dressed in casual clothes, her face partially obscured by the shadows. The scene highlights her internal struggle as she wrestles with her feelings for Liam and the life she leads. Her hands are clenched around her coffee cup, her eyes distant as she reflects on her place in the world. The camera pans out slowly, capturing the solitude of the moment, the quiet hum of the cafe serving as a backdrop to her isolation. 2-6. In the sixth scene, Liam and Emma are on a balcony of a high-rise building, with the city skyline in the background. The camera captures Liam as he gently holds Emma's hand, speaking softly to her. His face shows a mix of determination and affection, and Emma looks at him, her expression softening as she listens to him. The sun is setting, casting a warm glow over the scene. The moment feels intimate and reassuring, with both characters looking to each other for comfort. The close-up captures the emotion in their eyes, signifying the depth of their growing connection. 1-2-7. In the seventh scene, Emma is standing outside in the middle of an emotional confrontation with Liam. The scene is filled with tension as Emma expresses her doubts about their future. The background is dimly lit, and the camera zooms in on their faces, capturing the raw emotion of the moment. Emma's face is a mixture of frustration and vulnerability, while Liam's expression is serious but empathetic. His body language shows he's trying to reach her, his hands outstretched as if offering reassurance. The scene is charged with emotion, and the camera focuses on their faces, capturing the intensity of the confrontation. 1-2-8. In the eighth and final scene, Emma and Liam stand together in a bright, open space, their hands intertwined. The camera focuses on their faces as they look at each other with love and understanding, their eyes filled with contentment. The background is peaceful, perhaps in a quiet park or a beautiful garden, symbolizing the peaceful resolution they've found. Emma's posture is confident, her face serene, and Liam stands beside her, his expression filled with affection. The camera captures their happiness and unity, signifying the beginning of their shared future, where they are finally at peace with one another. 1, 2.